All right, this video may be a little longer than normal. Remember, I am just doing some of the more complicated problems from the last two assignments. So this is a chance for you to check over those and or just to get a better explanation on some of those that people were struggling with. Like I said, I'm going to do 9 problems, so this video may take a little while. Feel free to skip ahead to ones that you need. So for example, I'm going to do number 6 on the first page. If you already know how to do number 6, fast forward until you find one that might be helpful for you. All right, so on number 6 right here, because we have parentheses, the first thing we're going to want to do is distribute. So I'm going to be multiplying this -8. And when I do that, I'm going to get 208 equals -32v minus 16. Now I need to get rid of that minus 16 first, move it to the other side. So I'm going to use an opposite to do that, add 16 to both sides. And when I do that, I'm going to get 224 equals -32v. Now, the only reason I show you this one, I think you all know the processes for this, but you were struggling with how actually to divide that. So there are a few different things you could do. You could count up by 32, or we could treat this like a fraction and simplify it. 224 over 32. If you didn't want to count up, we could simplify that. So I know I can cut both of those in half, so that's -16 over 112. And I can cut those in half again. Half of 100 is 50, and half of 12 is 6, so that's 56 over -8. Well, I know 56 divided by -8 is going to be -7, so v equals -7. All right, the next one I have to do is numbers 11 and 14. Both of these I think are really simple. I have a feeling if you are missing these, you are doing some just kind of simple calculation errors. So on 11, you all were doing good at knowing it's the -8 that's distributing. The 5 comes down. We have to distribute first, so that's 8 times 7 is 56, so -56r minus 56. No equal sign here, so we can't do opposites. We're just combining the things or grouping the things that can go together. So I've got a +5 and a -56. When I combine that, that's 5 good guys and 56 bad guys. So all together, I'm going to get 51 bad guys minus 56r. Some of you were getting 61 there because you were adding incorrectly. All right, if we kind of scroll over here and look at question 14, I think if you got anything wrong here, you were just getting tied up in the negatives. Remember, negative times a negative is a positive. So I'm going to get 18 plus 16a minus 42 plus 14a. And again, there's no equal sign, so I can't solve. I just simplify, and I just want to combine similar terms together. So I've got 14, positive 14 and positive 16a. Together, that's going to give me 30a. And then if I combine my numbers, my constants, I have a positive 18 and a negative 42. So think good guys and bad guys. Think about what you're going to be left with there. And you should get -24. A side note, you can also write this as -24 plus 30a. That's the same thing, all right, as long as the sign is with the correct term. All right, and then the last one for this page, pretty easy. Most of you got this. Remember, the k's can be grouped together. There's no equal sign, so I'm just regrouping here. And both of these have 1s in front of them. You're allowed to write the 1 if it helps you, but you don't have to. So that's going to give me 2k, and I have a -10 and a +6. So that's good guys and bad guys, which means I'm left with 4 bad guys, or -4. Again, you can also write that -4 plus 2k. You have to stop here, though. You are not allowed to divide or do anything to solve because this is an expression. We can't solve expressions, just equations. All right, so now for our next assignment. I really am just picking the ones that were very commonly missed. I know you may have some additional questions, which I would love to go over with you in tutoring or during class tomorrow if we have time. So question 7, we'll go ahead and dive right in. Most of you saw that we needed to combine like terms, so you notice this positive 8k and -8k cancel. Which means we're going to be left with 1 equals 1. And I saw a lot of you on your paper write true, which is good. This is a true statement. But the correct answer that you want to write, what you want to actually write down is that this means that the solution is all real numbers. And if you want to be lazy, there is a shortcut for writing that. You can write a double R. And all that means is no solution would mean you can't pick anything to work in the equation. All real numbers means it doesn't matter what you pick. Any number you plugged in for k would still work in this equation. All right, so anytime you get a true statement, we're going to write all real numbers, so just keep that in mind. All right, we're going to zoom over here to question 10. The only reason I'm picking this one is, again, because of the numbers. They get kind of big. So we're going to distribute our negative 8 here. So negative 5x minus 24x minus 64 equals 110. I want to combine like terms, so I'm going to combine these x's together. They're both negative, so I'm going to add them. That gives me negative 29x minus 64 equals 110. And then add 64 to both sides. I can do opposites here because these are, there's an equal sign. I'm doing the same thing to both sides. So I've got negative 29x equals 174. Now I need to be able to count up there by 29s, which you can do. And if you do that, counting by 29s is like adding 30 and subtracting 1. All right, so I've got 29. So if I add 30 to that, that gives me 59 minus 1 is 58. Add 30, 88 minus 1 is 87. Add 30, that's going to give me 111 minus 1 is 116. Or sorry, 11, and then a 6. So if I add, again, add 30, that's 146 minus 1, 145. And add 30 and minus 1 again gives me 174. That means, if you're counting with me, that's times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, which is going to mean that my answer then is negative 6. X equals negative 6. Okay, now we're going to look at 3 of the problems on the back. So let's look at these. I picked the fraction ones because I think those are the ones y'all are having trouble with. There are, just to give you a hint, there are 2 no solution answers on the back, and there is an all real numbers on the back. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind if you want to be checking your answers that way. So on number 11, I told you that we need to be getting rid of denominators. Is what's going to make this look a little bit simpler. And I tend to start with the biggest denominator first. That's going to be kind of the easiest thing to eliminate. So I'm going to multiply everything by 12 here. And for the sake of not confusing you, I'm going to pretend like I don't know that some of this simplifies. So the 12s cancel there. Remember, it's the top of fractions that multiply. So this is going to give me 12 over 3y plus 12 over 4 equals 5. All right, so remember, the tops multiplied, the denominators didn't do anything, so they're still there, except for on this right side. The 12 and the 12 cancel one another, and you're just left with a 5. Now, at this point, if you can simplify anything, that's going to be the easiest thing to do. So I do know that 12 divided by 3 is 4. So instead of leaving it as 12 over 3, I'm going to make this say 4y. And coincidentally, 12 also divides by 4, which is 3, equals 5. So notice really in like one, kind of 2 quick little steps, all of a sudden my fractions are gone. So now I'm just solving a basic problem. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. That gives me 4y equals 2. And then we'll go back and divide by 4. So if you're writing it initially, you may say y equals 2 over 4, and then you do want to try simplifying that. And I can divide both of those numbers by the same thing. I can divide them both by 2, which is going to give me y equals 1/2. All right, let's see if we can do kind of something similar on question. We'll do 18 first and then move to 19. So 18 first. Remember, like I said on the last one, let's start with the biggest denominator. So if you want to pause and work a few steps ahead of me, you can. All right, so I'm going to multiply both sides by, or every single thing rather, by 14. All right, so let's remember, the top multiplies, the bottom divides. So since we're multiplying, we're not going to be using the denominators at this moment. All right, so 2 times 14, that's going to give me 28 over 7m minus 14 over 7 equals, on this side, the 14s cancel, so I'm just going to get 3. Now again, since we picked the largest denominator in the beginning, it kind of makes this problem a little simpler for us. 28 does divide by 7, so that gives me 4m minus 14 divided by 7 is 2 equals 3. So now we're to a much, much simpler problem. I'm going to add 2 to both sides, so 4m equals 5, and divide by 4. 5 does not divide by 4, so that just gives me a final answer of m equals 5/4. All right, last one on this side, we're going to look at question number 19. So again, if you've been following, I should pick the largest denominator to try to get rid of first, because it may make this problem quicker. So that's going to be 8. So I'm going to multiply every single thing by 8. So my 8's cancel. That leaves me with x minus 8 over 2. Remember, just multiply the top, equals 46. Wow, 48. Just kidding. Then we can simplify, see if we can simplify the fraction that's left. So that negative 8 does divide by 2. That's negative 4 equals 48. And now this turns out to be a much simpler problem than maybe we thought at the beginning. We're going to add 4 to both sides. We're going to be left with x equals 52. All right, I'm actually going to go backwards and go over question 17 because I have a feeling there's something you may get stuck on. I just want to make sure we're clear on that one. 17, hopefully you see parentheses and you know that we need to distribute first. So on the left side, I'm going to get 2 plus 12x. On the right side, I'm going to be distributing a negative, so that's going to give me negative 6 or minus 6. And then I'm distributing the negative. That's like multiplying by negative 1. So when I do that, I'm going to end up getting positive 2x. Notice that I'm distributing negative 1 here. I am not distributing the negative 2 because that's not what's up next to the parentheses. It's the negative 1. All right, now you're just in a position to continue this problem like normal. So we're going to combine, or I would at least combine some like terms. 2 plus 12x equals negative 8 plus 2x. And then I would just continue to move some pieces over. You need to make sure that you have the work shown and that you finished this problem out for tomorrow.